Hello everyone and welcome to our free webinar, Explore and Discover CAS Business School's Full-Time and Executive MBA. My name is Donka and I'm the moderator of this webinar on behalf of PrepAdvisor. Today you have the unique opportunity to learn more about how CAS Business School transform candidates by rapidly increasing their knowledge, skills and self-awareness so they can rise to the changes of a rapidly changing global business environment. Our presenter is Alex Jones. Hello, Alex.
Hi, Donka. Hi, everyone.
Keep in mind that you can send your questions during the entire webinar by typing the questions in the chat box. And after the presentation, Alex will answer your questions, or we can answer your questions to email later on after the webinar. So let's check the sound now. Could you please type in the chat box that you can hear us well? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so enjoy the webinar. Alex, it's your turn now.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Donka. And yes, hello, everyone, and welcome to the CAS online information session. As Donka said, my name is Alex Jones. I'm one of the recruitment managers here at CAS. I've worked here now for almost 7 years. Originally, I used to work more on the organizational side of the MBA programs. And about 4 years ago, I moved into recruitment. During this presentation, what I'm going to do is take you through some of the key details of our MBA programs. And I'm going to assume that you've probably had the opportunity to look at our website already. Perhaps you maybe downloaded one of our brochures. So I want to really provide you with some additional information that you can't find online. As Donka mentioned, there is an opportunity for you to post questions throughout the presentation. Some of those I may be able to answer as we go along, but also there'll be about a half hour after the presentation in which we'll be able to answer those questions as well. So in total, I expect it's going to last about 60 minutes, including the presentation and question session. And of course, afterwards, you can follow up with further questions. So just as a very initial overview, I'll just talk you through the MBA programs we have on offer at CAS. We have a campus in London, and also we have a campus in Dubai. So we run 3 of our MBAs in London. We have the full-time MBA, which is 12 months in length and starts in September each year. We have 2 versions of our executive MBA. One that is taught twice a week in the evenings, which is a September intake. That's 2 years part-time executive. And we also have what we call the Modular Executive MBA, which is taught over 1 long weekend per month. And by long weekend, I mean Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, once a month. And again, that is 2 years part-time. We have 1 intake for that, which is in March each year. So that allows students that don't live in London or near to London to travel in. So probably we have about 25–30% of the class will come over from different countries specifically for that long weekend. We also have a campus in Dubai. We opened that up about 10 years ago. It's in the DIFC. That is an executive MBA and follows the same weekend format. And that is actually due to start tomorrow. We have 1 intake each year on that, and that is 2 years in length. Now, your reasons and your motivations for undertaking an MBA are going to be very individual. They're going to be very varied, very personal to you. However, I find from my experiences that typically there are 3 main categories for people wanting to undertake an MBA at CAS. Some of you here will be looking for career progression. Perhaps you've reached a stage in your career where you just feel like you can't break through to those more senior levels without the MBA. Perhaps you're starting to see job adverts where an MBA is a requirement in order to apply. Others of you will be looking to make a change of some sort and a transition. Perhaps you're looking to change your role, the industry you're in, or your location. In some instances, it can be all 3. We call that the triple jump, and it's quite amazing to see how much change people can achieve. For others, You have entrepreneurial aspirations. Maybe you've already started a business, didn't go to plan, or you want to develop it further. Or maybe just as a next step, or in the more medium term, setting up your own business is where you see your future lies. Now, perhaps you're sat listening to this thinking, well, you're not quite sure which of these applies for you and which is going to be the next step. Perhaps it's a few of them. Well, we don't mind if you don't know. We want to give you the safe environment, the options, the tools, the knowledge to explore these steps and take the next best kind of foot forward in the next stage of your career. And what I find particularly interesting is talking to past students. A great deal of them actually change their mind mid-program over their future career. And that's inevitable, that will happen. You're going to be influenced by a lot of different people and be exposed to a lot of new ideas and ways of thinking. Whatever your reasons are, you should really be prepared for a very transformational journey, both professionally and also personally. So how is CAS going to help you do that? Well, our mission really is to ensure that students have a good experience during the application process, whilst they're here, and then afterwards as a lifelong member of our alumni. And I think the foundations on which that is initially built is the academic excellence. The CAS faculty include leading academics, policymakers, and entrepreneurs. So they are world-class practitioners with real industry experience. This means they don't just teach and research, but they also consult and advise for top organizations and really have their finger on the pulse. This means they can then bring that knowledge and that experience back into the classroom. And this ensures that lectures are not just theoretical, but also touch upon current business scenarios. In the most recent Research Excellence Framework, 84% of CAS business and management research was rated within top 2 categories, which are world leading and 4 stars. CAS has an outstanding reputation in finance, and that is probably our traditional reputation. And when the business school was set up 50 years ago, that was, you know, a big part of what we're about. But there's a lot more to us than just that. In addition to that, we rank incredibly highly for corporate strategy. We've now been ranked in the top 10 in the world for MBAs in corporate strategy. Entrepreneurship as well has been a huge area that we've invested in, and we're really starting to see the fruits of that labor now. We've now been ranked 5th in globally for MBAs in entrepreneurship. This is something that you will hugely benefit from the quality of the faculty here, and also the opportunities that you will get and the network that you will develop. Just touching on the entrepreneurship fund again, we've created this fund of £10 million, which is a venture capital fund, which was actually put forward by one of our recent alumni. And that really has helped us grow in the entrepreneurial field. We also have support for startups and early stage companies, including incubation facilities in central London, where you can have desk space for 12 months. And our location as well is key for that. We are located within the financial district, the business centre, not just of London, but really of Europe or of one of the key business centres of the world. Also, right on our doorstep is the emerging tech city. So CAS really is perfectly located. You know, we've got the money on one side, the ideas on the other, and CAS is in the middle, bringing those two together. Location is really key when it comes to choosing an MBA. Our location gives us great connections within the business world. From a networking point of view, logistics are important. Being in a central location, it means the people that you want to meet are going to be within a short distance, often a walking distance of where the campus is. Headquarters from all different industries and firms, global firms, are based on our doorstep. When we have events on campus, which we frequently do, we will have guest speakers come in. We had the chief economist of the Bank of England. We had the CEO of Monzo Credit Card come in. They're people you want to hear from, but also because of our central location, we run one of those events at maybe 6:30 in the evening. It means that people can finish work, part of the wider alumni community, and then come in to attend those. And these are events that you will be going to. Now, those other 100 odd people that have come in to attend those events, they're exactly the kind of people that you will be wanting to meet and wanting to network with. So that location is a big factor when people choose to come and study at CAS, and something that you will benefit from whilst you're here and for many years to come as well. If you are studying on a greenfield site, hours outside of a city and outside of a business district, networking and those kind of things are going to be significantly harder. And it's not just about making connections in London. You will be making a truly global network. We offer plenty of opportunities to build these connections. We have 9 different international electives available, and I will talk through those in a little bit more detail later in the presentation. Our alumni network now is over 45,000 strong, and that spreads over 160 different countries. The classroom in which you're in will be probably one of the most diverse environments that you've been in. And when I talk through the class profile shortly, that you'll really start to see the level of diversity that we have. We have the London campus and also the Dubai one, so there's opportunity for crossover there. And also through the different projects you work on. There's an international consultancy week, which you will do in a different country. That's a hands-on project. And also you will do a business mastery project, which will be carried out with another company as well. Most likely in London, but you can do that anywhere in the world. To give you an idea of the profile of our students, so this is the recent full-time intake with 30 different nationalities represented out of 64 different students. I just noticed it said 2017 on there, but that was our recent 2018 profile that just started. So out of 64 students, there were 30 different nationalities represented. I mean, that gives you some idea of the kind of diversity that's there. And of course, that is a big part of how you're going to learn. And that's not just diversity in nationality, but also in industry areas as well. There's a strong focus on collaboration, and it will be a big part of your experience. We require a minimum of 3 years for our full-time MBA, but you can see on average our students have 7 years. Average age is 31. So compared to some other MBAs, particularly some in the US, it's a relatively mature classroom, but that is something that you will really benefit from as part of your experience. Minimum score in GMAT is 600, but our average score for this year is 645. You see the male to female balance is pretty good. We had almost 40% female students on the intake this year, and that's something that has been increasing over time. That is something we've invested a lot in. We have different scholarships. We have a global women's leadership program, which we've set up in conjunction with Coca-Cola Foundation. So we're aiming for parity there. You know, we're hoping within the next few years we will achieve a 50-50 split. This is the Modular Executive MBA class profile. So they started in March earlier this year. We have about 45 students on our executive programs, around 55 on the evening version of the program. Minimum experience for this is 5 years, and we see that reflected. So on average, our students are about 36 with an average work experience of 12. And the male to female balance there was closer to kind of 65%. But again, that is getting closer and closer towards 50-50. And again, still incredibly diverse. That's a reflection on the population of London, but also the fact that about 25% of the class will travel in from other countries. So which program is going to be right for you? Well, what you see on your screen now is really just a kind of broad illustration of what we typically see, that those earlier to mid-career looking to do the full-time MBA, typically we're seeing that people maybe wanting to make a bigger change in their career will go for the full-time, and those mid-career to senior management will be looking at the executive MBA programs, and perhaps more often it's people who are looking to progress further. You know, if you're sitting there looking at this thinking, well, actually, you know, I'm a bit further in my career, but I want to do the full-time, that's not necessarily a problem. No, we will judge everyone on their individual merits, but this is just a kind of general overview. Now, the program structure itself, whether you do the executive MBA or the full-time MBA, it follows a similar structure. So the first half is about the fundamentals of business, and this is taught through the core modules, covering strategy, marketing, business analytics, accounting, finance, HR, operations. It gives you that breadth of knowledge, which can make you a much better leader, and it allows you to approach problems from so many different angles. It also gives you that opportunity to explore. If you're looking for a bit of a change in your career, having that knowledge in all those areas, you may find that there's something that you want to pursue further. As part of this, we do the International Consultancy Week. We've been to different countries such as Iceland, Colombia, we've been to the Republic of Ireland, we've been to Vietnam, we've been to Argentina before. The idea is that we fly the whole cohort away to a different country. You will go into a small team, into a business, and that business will set you a real problem that they're facing. And they will look to you and the rest of your team for real solutions. So this is a great opportunity for you to put into practice everything that you've learned within the core modules. It's a live case study. It will give you a good benchmark to see how much you've achieved. And the solutions that you give to the company will often be ones they go on to implement. So there's a nice amount of pressure on you to perform at this project, and there's a real opportunity to really practically apply what you've learned so far. The second half of the MBA is about tailoring it to really suit your own needs and goals. And this is done through the elective modules themselves. So we have about 30 different electives available. You can choose to do them in concentration. So you could concentrate in strategy or finance or entrepreneurship. But also you have the opportunity to be completely flexible. So if you want to pick and choose across that range and just focus on the bits and maybe do a bit in strategy, but also a few in entrepreneurship, then you can do that. A great benefit that I'll mention as well now is once you are part of the alumni network and you've finished your MBA, you can actually come back each year and carry out an additional elective for free. So each year you can come back, take on a new subject. Maybe you've got a new job. Maybe you've now decided you do want to set up a business. You come back and you take on an elective that is going to be relevant for that. And that's a lifelong benefit. So each year you can come back and do a free one. There's also a fantastic range of international electives. I will talk through those locations in a couple of slides. You'll finish by completing the Business Mastery Project. So this is your major individual piece of coursework. It's worth about 25% of your whole MBA. And you can approach it in a few different ways. For those of you on the Executive MBA, you most likely will carry this out as a research project within the company that you work for. And you can use it as an opportunity to kind of give yourself leverage to move into that next stage of your career. I know students that have kind of identified a business need within their organization and then followed that project into fruition. On the full-time MBA, a lot of students will choose to do it a bit like an internship within another organization. We will have companies come to us through our careers department with specific projects that they would like to take on. Recently, we had a fantastic project from Williams Racing, in F1 racing, which one of our students took on. There's a video we just released on YouTube on that, so do check it out. I think that has then actually subsequently led on to a job for that student as well. And that's the idea, that project is used as the next stepping stone in your career. You don't have to do it within an organization. Whether you're doing the MBA or the Executive MBA, you could choose to do it as a research project into just a broader industry area. That can prepare you incredibly well for when you're having interviews. If you've got gaps in your CV because you're not from that industry, having done an in-depth research project means when you're being grilled at that interview stage, you can give intelligent, relevant answers and instill confidence in that employer or future employer that you are the right person for the job. For those of you with entrepreneurial aspirations, focus on that. Create your business plan as part of this project, road test it, and then hopefully go on to launch it afterwards as well. There's a lot of flexibility with that, and you will have a member of faculty who will be an expert in that area, who will be your supervisors. So you will have great resources available to you as well. Now, something that permeates throughout the whole MBA is the careers and professional development services. They will work with you from the very first few weeks that you are here. They will want to have one-to-ones with you. For those of you on the full-time MBA, they're going to be creating basically a kind of CV profile book, which they will distribute to different organizations and will be made available on our careers pages to companies. They want to work out, obviously talk to you more about your plans, and what is going to be the best strategy to achieve that. And they will support you along the way. If you've got job interviews coming up, then they can run mock assessment centers with you before. They all work within higher education, but have all come from private industry areas as well. So they have expert knowledge in different fields. They're also going to be responsible for your professional development. So that's developing your softer skills. These are key skills that you will develop over time, and you'll see this change in yourself, and other people will do as well. These are skills such as executive presence, how to resolve conflict at work, how to negotiate successfully, advanced presentation skills. I think on the Executive MBA, we do media training as well. So these are great classes. On the full-time MBA, you will actually, during the core period, dedicate Thursdays to careers and professional development. On the Executive MBA, you have a separate timetable. There might be some weekends and additional evenings where you fit that in. For the last 3 years, CAS has been ranked in the top 3 in the UK for career progression. And I think a lot of that is down to those professional development classes. The careers team are also going to put on different networking events. You will join different clubs and societies, different industry-related ones. They can put you in touch with suitable alumni that will be able to help you. They have companies come onto campus to give presentations. They maybe host coffee mornings with students to talk about their company. And that is the reality of how you will find your next job. I think it was about 50% of our full-time intake found their next job through networking or a careers event. So just now covering the international electives that you'll be able to choose from. So some of the locations are on here. You can choose this as part of your elective offering, and they are week-long trips to these countries. So we go to Silicon Valley, Las Vegas, South Africa, Kenya, Dubai, China, and Israel and Palestine. They are all the international electives. The Ireland, Colombia, Vietnam trips are the consultancy trips. Now, the international electives, they're not exchange programs. You're not just traveling to a different country to sit in a different classroom and hear from a different academic. You are going over there to meet companies, get behind scenes access, boots on the ground, learn from key people in those regions. I've accompanied the students on some of these trips. I know the feedback from them is that they are a highlight of the whole program. So I think you would definitely want to get involved in 1 or 2 of those. Of course, it's about the wider experience, the extracurricular activities, your whole time here at CAS and in the future as the alumni network. For those of you coming to London for the first time, CAS is located right in the original square mile of the city, which has really been the business centre of London since Roman times, about 2,000 years ago. And it's really one of the most diverse cities in the world. It's packed full of history, culture, and nightlife. And there's a really dynamic and exciting place to both live and to study. There are going to be frequent competitions events that you will want to get involved in. There is opportunities to improve your CV through attending these events and competitions. I know there was a kind of trading competition that students took part in. I think it was in maybe Paris and then in Canada, and I think they won it as well. We've also had different competitions with Bloomberg and Business Because, Pepsi, Visa, and Colgate also some recent ones I can recall as well. We place a strong importance on cohort bond at CAS, and I think a lot of this is made possible through the size of the cohort that we take on. Some intakes at other business schools will be 500 or 1,000. you can't get the same personal experience and the same cohort bond with those kind of numbers. The academics at CAS will get to know you well. Not only are they're the ones imparting their expert knowledge, but of course they are a key part of your network as well. And on a personal level, you are going to develop not just great business contacts, but also lifelong friends that you will have all over the world. The campus is fantastic. I enjoy coming into work each day. There's a real buzz to the place. We have about 2,000 students in total, including our MSc programs and undergrads, and about 200 members of full-time faculty. It's a really energetic and inspiring place to be, and there's always a different event or something taking place. Just let you know, there's going to be about 5 minutes left of the presentation. So if you want to have a think about some questions at this point, please do start to post them, and I can cover those at the end. Just to talk now really about what are we looking for in our candidates. Well, what we really want to do is to assess your ability to contribute on the program. The MBA is going to be a very interactive learning environment, and you really will learn as much from each other as you will do from the academics themselves. So a lot of the focus is going to be on your CV initially, but then the personal statement where you can elaborate more and give us a little bit more color on that. There would be 2 references as well, and then crucially, if we were happy with all of that, we'd also arrange for an interview to take place, and the interview would be conducted by one of the academics. And this is an opportunity really, so it's fundamentally to tell us what are you going to bring along to the classroom, and what do you want to get out of it. They're the kind of broad things. Are we going to be a good fit for each other? We want you to have a good academic background. Typically, we're looking for the equivalent undergrad degree of 2:1 or above. On the full-time MBA, we want you to do GMAT as well, with a minimum score of 600. On the executive MBA, because we require a greater level of work experience, we feel that we can make a judgment on that, so we do waive the GMAT on the executive MBA. Now, we're happy if you are wanting to use the MBA to explore, and maybe you don't know what your journey is going to be from A to B, but we expect you to be able to demonstrate your commitment and your motivation to succeed and to complete the MBA and take part. So we really want to see that you are enthusiastic and determined. And of course, it's vital that you are not only a leader, but also a strong team player. There'll be a lot of leaders in the room, and there'll be a lot of future leaders as well. But having those team skills, being able to work together and collaborate, is going to be an important part of it now and also in the future. The admissions process is very rigorous and competitive, so I recommend that you interact with us as much as you can. I would get in touch with us with your CV, so we can talk through your personal circumstances in more detail, and also so we can have a one-to-one conversation. The whole process is roughly about 3 to 4 weeks from you submitting a full application to us assessing it, and processing it, and then booking in the interview. Just 1 second. Okay, so just to give you an idea now of the dates. So for the executive MBA programs, we have a rolling application process. So there aren't any specific deadlines, but there are advantages to applying early. Certainly when it comes to things like scholarships and awards, we have much more budget available near the start. For the full-time MBA, we do have rounds. You can see there's one coming up this Sunday, so still just time to apply for that one if you are ready. But then after that, we roughly have them about every 6 weeks, and there's some further rounds available on our website. Once you've submitted your application, if it's complete and ready, we can start processing it and moving it forward. So you don't necessarily have to wait to the deadline before you will start to hear back from us. We're aiming to process things as efficiently as we can. Like I said, we're aiming for around about that 4-week turnaround period. So here's an overview of the different fees and financing. So Applications are open for all of these intakes, the Dubai one being the exception just because it starts tomorrow, and so we will be starting that process again in a few weeks. You can see there's a slight difference in fees. Fees and funding, so scholarships wise, on the full-time MBA we have scholarships of 50% of the fees, and on the executive MBAs it is 25% of the fees. These are scholarships that you would need to apply for. So we have a scholarship application with some additional essays which you will need to submit along with your application. It's on a rolling basis for the executive evening version. The modular, we have a deadline, and for the full-time MBA, you should submit it with the round that you are applying for. If you don't apply for scholarships or you're not successful, then all candidates anyway are automatically considered for financial awards of up to 30% of the fees on the full-time MBA and up to 20% of the fees on the executive MBA. And really, we are looking to assess you based on the strength of your application. And all the elements that we're looking to decide on whether to offer you a place will also be taken into account when it comes to offering any financial awards. It's not something you can definitely rely upon. Not everyone is going to get funding, so I do encourage you to explore your different options. There are some loan firms. Prodigy Finance is a name that I'm sure you will hear come up quite a lot. There's also high street banks in the UK for Santander and Barclays. They may also do some international loans. For any Colombian candidates, we've just set up a new scheme in conjunction with Colfuturo. So certainly get in touch to ask more about that. And we're also looking to add, hopefully, some future tie-ups with different international organizations as well. So do keep an eye on our website for that. For those of you looking for business case support, so if you are looking to do the executive MBA and you are trying to get sponsorship, then we can give you some support with that. We've put together a 3-page document that will help you highlight some key parts of the program and how the executive MBA is going to help with that. And if you're looking for full-time sponsorship, we can provide it to you as well. So get in touch and we'll be able to share that. So before I start taking the questions, which I can see that are coming up on my screen now, what are the next steps? Well, I would certainly recommend submitting your CV through to us. We'll be able to give you some feedback on that, and then we can look to arrange a one-to-one consultation, either with myself or with one of my colleagues in the team. We have fantastic events each month on campus. We have one each month. There's also the opportunity to come and visit a class to get a sample of the teaching style. Opportunities to be put in touch with student and alumni. And if you come along to one of the on-campus events, we actually will have a panel which I typically chair with alumni on there, so you can ask them questions at that point. And of course, you'll need to apply for us to be able to start processing your application. You don't need to go through all these steps in order to get to that application. If you're ready, then go ahead and submit. But these are some useful bits of additional research for you. Our email address is on the screen, cas-mba@city.ac.uk. If you've got other questions after the webinar, you can get in touch. You can send your CV through that email address as well. And those of you on the full-time MBA already, then I would encourage you to get your application in by this first round deadline. What I'm going to do now is just open up the questions on my screen. And I'll go through some of those. Okay, so just been asked, okay, what do we mean by the incubation facilities with regards to entrepreneurship? Because this candidate is interested in starting their own business. So basically at City University, we have got some fantastic office space in central London, where you can apply if you're looking to launch your own business. After you've finished the MBA, you can have 12 months office space in order to help launch your business. So we have all sorts of great startups in there. It allows you to have a great address to be launching your business. It also means that when you are having meetings, or you want to meet an investor or you know, potential clients, then again, you've got a central London address rather than having to do it in a coffee shop somewhere. Also, being in that environment, I mean, you'll know that, you know, that it's quite a big thing now to have these kind of shared working spaces. Of course, there are going to be cross benefits from that as well. There's also little bits of seed funding along the way as well, so opportunities to you know, apply for some early stage funding. We've got the £10 million venture capital fund as well, which you can apply for. Plus, also there's some smaller bits. I think there was a kind of £5,000 bit of funding available recently, which a couple of businesses won. So let's have a look at the next question. So someone is asking, how are they going to be able to make a strong application? What are we looking to see? Well, I think I kind of covered that near the end, but I think just to reiterate, you know, the main focus we're really looking on is your work experience. You know, how are you going to be able to contribute in the classroom? And the whole application is really designed in order for us to tell you about that. And we want diverse experience. You know, don't be put off if your background experience is kind of non-traditional. That's what we want. We want a whole variety. And I would encourage you to actually have a download of our class directories, which has a kind of brief profile on each of the students that we have on our MBA programs, because it gives you a really good insight into the kind of variety in the classroom. Okay, so there's a question here about Brexit and how that could affect students as well. I mean, at the moment, things have pretty much been business as normal. Obviously, you know, we'll keep an eye on it and we will see how things will change. But I mean, my feeling is that, you know, London is somewhere that will adapt and change to whatever the markets are that are available. I remember hearing in the past that after the 2008 financial crisis, there were actually more people working in finance jobs in London than there was beforehand. So I think, you know, when there's times of change, you know, it creates times of a lot of opportunity as well. And we found that, you know, that a lot of our students are finding work here afterwards. And I would think for those of you looking for visas, as different trade deals are tied up around the world, then probably as part of that, you know, visas and kind of changing the process there will be something you will benefit from as well. So we've not really noticed an impact at the moment. I said, I think that London and the UK will adapt to whatever it is, and the people who tend to take advantage of these opportunities and when there's changes are people who are multi-skilled, such as MBA students. You know, the ones that can be flexible, the ones that have a range of skills, they're the ones that really can take advantage of that kind of scenario. Just look through the questions. The next one, someone said, is there something like a CAS club after graduation? Yeah, I mean, there are all sorts of different clubs and societies that you will be involved in. I mean, through the alumni network, there are events that take place around the world where alumni are meeting up. You will still be involved in different industry-related clubs and societies. So just to talk about that a bit more, we have about 25, 30 different clubs and societies. These range from industry ones such as mergers and acquisitions and private equity society. We have an entrepreneurship network. We have a CAS Women in Business network, and there are more kind of social ones, you know, sport-related ones, wine clubs, skiing clubs. But through this is going to give you great access to the alumni network and also keep you together as well. We also, a few years ago, we launched a online platform for our CAS alumni, and I was actually involved in the development of that. It basically is a private LinkedIn for our alumni. And you might think, well, why do we need another version of LinkedIn? Well, because it's CAS alumni, it allows people to be a lot more open about how they can help people. So on people's profiles, they have different things highlighted, like you can approach me if you want a mentor, or you can approach me about jobs available within my company. Now, you can't really do that on LinkedIn because you will be inundated with thousands and thousands of requests. But within that kind of more private CAS alumni network, it allows you to do that. So that is a great resource that you'll use. And also, I think just between the students themselves, you will stay in touch, and people will set up kind of private groups through whether that's WhatsApp or their own kind of LinkedIn groups. But yeah, it really is something that you are joining in for life. So there will be all sorts of ways of connecting with the school, and we will want to see you here in the future as well. Okay, just looking through a few more of the questions. Okay. Okay, so someone's asking, is the CAS MBA more skewed towards financial professionals? No, it's not. I mean, as I mentioned in the presentation, we have got strength in finance, and that was probably the traditional strength of the school, but it is only one of the strings to our bow. In the core modules, you will study finance, of course. If you then don't want to touch finance again, then you don't have to. We have some great electives in that area, but you can pick and choose ones different to that. It is something that you would, I think, looking at the class directories, see that. You will see it from the employment report as well. I mean, we have probably about 20% of our students will come from a finance background, and a similar amount on the full-time MBA. It's probably more around 30% on the executive MBA. So it's probably our biggest sector, but the vast majority, the other kind of 70% or 80%, are all from different industries. So no, although it is a strength of ours, it is just one of our strengths, and it isn't going to be skewed towards that. Someone's asking, is it important to apply early for a scholarship? Yeah, I mean, I think, if you are particularly interested in getting funding from the school, then certainly applying early is recommended. We have a finance pot available that we use for awards and scholarships, but it's finite. So on that logic, we have more available at the start of the process, and that will start to be distributed as we go through. So there will be more less left at the end, and eventually, of course, it will run out. So certainly, I would recommend applying early for that. I mean, you're certainly not too late. We will have funding available for a few rounds to come, but I definitely would go in early. And there's other benefits as well. I mean, from a personal point of view, applying early, of course, means that you can plan ahead, particularly if you are looking to change location as well. We will have some additional events throughout the year when you can start to meet with some of the other incoming intake as well. Plus also for those on the full-time MBA, it means that you can have first choice with regards to the university accommodation as well. Okay, there's a few questions coming that are quite kind of personal, I think, to your kind of circumstances and your work experience. Happy to answer those as well, but I think that's probably best done on a one-to-one basis. So sorry if I'm just kind of not responding to some of those questions, but I think if you get in touch by the email address, cas-mba at city.ac.uk, afterwards, or send your CV through, is always the best kind of starting point. Then we can either cover those up by email, or most likely we'll set up a phone call to discuss them. Someone's asking if the application dates I mentioned are for the full-time full-time MBA for the 2019 intake. Yes, that's right. So all the dates that are on the screen there are for the intake that start in September 2019, and we just have one intake for that each year. For the full-time MBA program, will we accept GRE instead of GMAT? Yes, we definitely can. I think if you haven't started doing any of them yet, then I would go for GMAT. But if you've already started doing GRE, or if you've already done it, then yeah, we can certainly accept that. And we can basically convert it into a GMAT score. So we need it to be equivalent to a score of around 600 on GMAT. Okay, someone's asking, I think this is actually quite a good question, just as a broader one to cover. Someone here who's got about 5 or 7 years work experience, they're wondering whether to do a specialized master's program, in finance, or maybe whether an MBA would be better. And quite a few people have this question. Our MSc programs, and you'll find this with most business schools, they're typically aimed at people right at the start of their careers, possibly with no work experience at all. So although they are quite specialized, you would be studying with people with little or no work experience. And of course, that is a big part of what the MBA is about and what you're going to get out of it. I think on one of our MBA our MSc in management, I think there's actually a cap. So if you have more than 3 years, you can't do the program. So I think once you've got a decent amount of work experience behind you, the MBA is the best next step. It's going to be that broad qualification, so it does give you that knowledge to allow you to be that stronger leader, but also through the whole second half of the program, through the electives, through the final project that you do, you can really tailor make it to specialize. So in this instance, MSc in finance or the MBA, well, you could do the MBA and then concentrate in finance and choose electives in that area. So I think when you've got that level of experience, then the MBA is the best approach. Someone's asking, just with regards to financial awards and scholarships, is this based on strength of application rather than financial need? Yes, so we're looking at the strength of application, and for the scholarships there are additional essays to complete, but also we're going to look at all the aspects of your application. So there will be, your GMAT score if you did the full-time MBA, your interview, the feedback from that will be very, very important when it comes to making a decision, because that will be conducted with a member of faculty. So yeah, it is going to be the strength of you as a candidate. Someone is asking, can I apply after the 30th of December 2018? Yes, you can do. That is the second, sorry, that's the third deadline on the full-time MBA. We have subsequent rounds after that. I haven't put them all on the presentation, just not to kind of overload you with information. But if you go onto our website, then you can see, it's very transparent. You'll see the other deadlines that are available on there. If you need a visa, then you will see that I think we've looked at either the 5th or 6th round. We recommend that you apply by, because you need to make sure that there is a decent amount of time on that. But all the dates are available on the website. Someone's asking about real estate at CAS, because yeah, CAS does have a lot of strength in the real estate area. We have an MSc in that area. We don't have too many of the core electives available. There is a possibility on the Executive MBA program, I think, still to do some of the MSc real estate electives. So if you do have an interest in that area, there is a little bit of a crossover there. I think if you are specifically interested in the real estate side of things, then I would get in touch with regards to that. But as with a lot of industries, we have societies related to it. So there is a real estate society. I think there's a cryptocurrency society. That you will find a lot of crossover for areas you're interested in through joining those, and that is when you will make a lot of your network and your connections through. For the Modular Executive MBA, people are asking when the applications should be submitted by. I mean, it's rolling process. There are some deadlines for scholarships, so you would need to submit your full application before that deadline. It was coming up in October. So if you're keen for that, there is a set deadline. Otherwise, it is rolling. But I would recommend this side of Christmas, or to push very, very early in the new year. Then that gives us plenty of time to process it, and of course, like I said, from your point of view, knowing exactly where we both stand. Someone's asking, how does the MBA course keep in touch with the changing business environment? Well, I covered that a little bit, just talking through, the academics that we have. They're not just researchers, they are academics that consult and work for businesses or run their own businesses as well. So they really have the finger on the pulse. We also conduct frequent reviews of the MBA program to make sure that the content is relevant, to make sure that the international locations that we have for the trips is relevant as well. By its nature, it's going to stay up to date, because you're going to be sat in a classroom with a whole variety of people working in different industry areas. So the conversation and topic and discussions in class is always going to be very much of the now. And the electives we have will evolve, and that's another great benefit of this free elective that you can do. As alumni, the business world will change. You will be in the advantageous position where you can come back each year and take on an additional relative to refresh you, take on new subject matter, and make sure that you are up to date and tapping back into that network. Okay, someone's asking with regards to some stats with regards to kind of average salaries and so forth. For that, I would refer you to the Financial Times rankings. I mean, it is all published each year. We do rank well in that area. I think on the full-time MBA it was something around $120,000 US, and I think the exec was maybe somewhere up to about 160,000. I don't tend to kind of memorize it just because it changes frequently, and also all that information is in the public domain. So I would look for the Financial Times rankings for that. They're generally the kind of gold standard in rankings, and you can see the kind of percentages of how quickly people found their jobs. We have a good employment report available, which is available online to download. We're just about to release the next one in the next few weeks. Right, I'm just going to finish off, I think, just with maybe one more question. Someone's asking about specific internships available to CAS MBA students. Yeah, so as part of the full-time MBA, you have the business mastery projects. This can be used as an internship opportunity, and we will have companies that will come to us. To find out a little bit more information about that, and just generally, I would recommend you all take a look at a part of our website, which is the alumni stories section. We've got about 25 different alumni profiles on there, and we are adding to it frequently. They're all recent alumni, and you can see the fantastic things that they went on to achieve after completing the MBA. And some of them you will see through those stories got that opportunity through the business mastery project and through the internship that they got. So I would check on that. If you go onto our main MBA page, you can search by different nationalities, industry areas, the program that they studied, and of course these are also alumni that possibly we could put you in touch with, so you could speak to. So yeah, I think through those questions and through the presentation, I think that has given hopefully a good introduction to the program, a little bit more information, like I said, that you can't necessarily find already online. But this is the start of the conversation. I would encourage you to get in touch afterwards with your CVs, and then let's kind of move it on to a one-to-one basis so we can talk more about your individual goals and needs.
Well, Alex, thank you for the interesting presentation and taking the time to answer all the questions.
No problem.
And thank you all for joining us as well. You will receive a link with the recording of the presentation after the webinar. And also I will put a link in the chat box to all of you so you can get your bonus for attending the webinar. Well, I send the link now. We wish all of you luck in your academic journey and have a great day.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.